Hello everyone. The world's most powerful countries also are the ones that consistently dominate news headlines, preoccupy policymakers and shape global economic patterns. When they make a pledge, at least some in the international community trust they will keep it. Defining the world's most powerful countries is a more complex process than one might imagine. Power comes in many forms, from military might to economic strength, political influence, and cultural impact. The most powerful nations in the world shape global economic patterns, maintain a strong military, and establish foreign policies whose effects reverberate all around the world. U.S. News and World Report, in partnership with BAV Group and the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, ranks the world's most powerful countries in its annual Best Countries rankings. The 2021 report surveyed over 20,000 people across the globe and asked them to associate 80 countries with 5 attributes: military alliances, international alliances, political influence, economic influence, and leadership. So today let's see what are the most powerful countries in the world 2022. Number 10 is United Arab Emirates. The United Arab Emirates, or UAE, is a federation of 7 emirates on the southeast end of the Arabian Peninsula. The country, wedged between Oman and Saudi Arabia, has rocky desert, wetlands, waterless mountains, and coastlines that stretch along the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf. The Emirates that currently comprise the UAE were known as the Trucial States in the 19th century as a result of a series of agreements with Great Britain. In 1971, 6 of these states merged to form the UAE, a 7th joined in 1972. Prior to the discovery of oil in the mid-20th century, the UAE's economy was based primarily on fishing and a pearl industry. When oil exports began in the 1960s, the country's economy rapidly transformed. Today, the UAE's per capita gross domestic product is on par with those of leading Western European nations, according to the CIA's World Factbook. And the World Economic Forum has named the country the most competitive economy in the Arab world. The UAE is known for its 2 largest cities, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, which draw millions of tourists each year. Dubai, a regional business hub known for its sleek skyscrapers, is home to the largest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa. Abu Dhabi is the seat of the Federal National Council and serves as the national capital of the UAE. The UAE is a member of the United Nations, OPEC, the World Trade Organization and several other international organizations. Number 9 is Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is the giant of the Middle East, with both the vast majority of land and wealth of the Arabian Peninsula falling within its borders. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is ruled by a monarch, with assistance from 12 appointed ministers. The king, officially the custodian of the 2 holy mosques in this Islamic state, has always been a direct relative of the nation's 1932 founder. Once the center of early civilization's Fertile Crescent, oil reserves were found in Saudi Arabia's deserts soon after the nation was founded, quickly making it the world's top exporter and bringing skyrocketing economic growth. Saudi Arabia is estimated to sit on a quarter of the world's supply of oil, but is seeking ways to diversify and reduce its oil dependency due to high unemployment rates and a sizable foreign workforce. Saudi Arabia's recent membership in the World Trade Organization has helped open it up to foreign investment. It is a founding member of OPEC and a member of other international organizations. Number 8 is South Korea. South Korea, officially the Republic of Korea, is a nation in Eastern Asia with a long history of conflict that occupies the southern portion of the Korean peninsula. Liberated from Japan in 1945 at the end of World War II, South Korea was invaded by communist forces in North Korea a few years later. Aid requested by the United Nations helped end the 3-year war and support the South on its way to democracy. A critical divide between the two nations along the center of the peninsula remains. South Korea's high-tech, service-based economy is a foreign investment success story, becoming the first recipient of OECD Development Assistance Committee funds to later become a donor of the funds. The nation has seen steady growth and poverty reduction since the 1960s and is now the world's 7th largest exporter and 11th largest economy overall. The country's capital, Seoul, is located near the center of the Korean peninsula, chosen as such during the Joseon dynasty, 1392 to 1897, for its impressive feng shui, the idea that the positioning of objects ensures health and harmony. It is home to the headquarters of Samsung, Hyundai and Kia, representing two of South Korea's important exports. Technology and cars. It has one of the world's largest gross national savings and reserves of foreign investment, reminiscent of a dictatorship that placed heavy emphasis on saving instead of spending. Visitors can explore the country's temperate climate, sweeping hills and mountains, and wide coastal plains, along with 12 UNESCO heritage sites. South Korea is a member of many international organizations, including the United Nations, G20, Association of Southeast Asian Nations Regional Forum and World Trade Organization. Number 7 is France. France, located in Western Europe, France is one of the world's oldest countries, and its reach extends around the globe through science, politics, economics and perhaps above all, culture. Starting in the Middle Ages, France evolved through kingdom, empire and finally, into a republic. It was one of the first nations to champion the rights of the individual. France today is a democracy with a separation of power falling between executive, legislative and judicial branches of government. The World Bank classifies France as a wealthy, high-income nation. The French economy is one of the world's largest and is a mixture of private enterprise and government involvement. Tourism is a major contributor to the economy. France generally tops lists of most visited countries. Other major economic sectors include industry, agriculture, energy and defense. The country is one of the world's top exporters of weapons. France is a founding member of the United Nations and has a permanent seat on its Security Council. Other major groups it belongs to include the European Union, World Trade Organization, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development and NATO. Number 6 is Japan. Japan, one of the world's most literate and technically advanced nations, is an East Asian archipelago country made up of 4 primary islands and more than 6,800 others. While most of Japan is covered by mountains and heavily wooded areas, the country's people lead a distinctly urban lifestyle. The country can trace its political unification to the late 4th and early 5th centuries BC. Civilization flourished in the late 8th to the late 12th centuries, followed by even more centuries of military rule. The country was isolated from the early 1600s to the mid-19th century, at which point its ports opened up to the west. Japan had grand territorial ambitions in the 1900s, invading several countries, only to be defeated in World War II. The country can trace its political unification to the late 4th and early 5th centuries BC. Civilization flourished in the late 8th to the late 12th centuries, followed by even more centuries of military rule. The country was isolated from the early 1600s to the mid-19th century, at which point its ports opened up to the west. Japan had grand territorial ambitions in the 1900s, invading several countries, only to be defeated in World War II. The nation with the 3rd largest economy in the world, Japan has largely bounced back from the manufacturing disruption caused by the 2011 earthquake and tsunami disaster. The country is among the world's largest producers of motor vehicles, electronic equipment and steel. The service sector makes up the highest percentage of the economy in terms of gross domestic product and employment. Japan is known worldwide for its traditional arts, including tea ceremonies, calligraphy and flower arranging. Japan is home to more than a dozen UNESCO World Heritage Sites and is the birthplace of sushi, one of its most famous culinary exports. The country has developed many forms of martial arts. Its most famous traditional sport is sumo wrestling, which can trace its origins to the 8th century. Japan is a member of several international organizations, including the United Nations, the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank. Number 5 is United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is a highly developed nation that exerts considerable international economic, political, scientific and cultural influence. Located off the northwest corner of Europe, the country includes the island of Great Britain, which contains England, Scotland and Wales, and the northern portion of the island of Ireland. The United Kingdom of today dates to the formation of the medieval Kingdom of England, and later, the establishment of a constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy in the 17th century. The national government is divided between executive, legislative and judicial branches. The Prime Minister is the head of government and appoints members of the cabinet. The capital city, London, is a major international financial center and one of the most visited cities in the world. The banking and tourism industries are parts of a larger service sector that powers much of the nation's economic growth. The Industrial Revolution began in the UK, and manufacturing, led by the automobile and aerospace industries, is a declining though still significant part of the nation's economy. The United Kingdom has attracted immigrants for centuries. Beginning in the second half of the 20th century, the sources of immigration began to diversify, coming from South Asia, Africa and the Caribbean as well as from Central and Eastern Europe. The nation has a long history of major contributions to the arts and sciences. William Shakespeare is regarded as one of the greatest writers in the history of English literature. British scientists discovered gravity, hydrogen and penicillin and developed theories in aerodynamics and natural evolution. The nation continues to be at the scientific and technological fore. Stephen Hawking has produced groundbreaking work in cosmology, and computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. The United Kingdom is home to some of the top universities in the world, including Oxford, Cambridge and Imperial College London. The United Kingdom is a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, and is a member of major international organizations including the European Union, the World Trade Organization, the World Bank, NATO, and the Group of 20. Number 4 is Germany. Germany, the most populous nation in the European Union, possesses one of the largest economies in the world and has seen its role in the international community grow steadily since reunification. The Central European country borders 9 nations, and its landscape varies, from the northern plains that reach to the north and Baltic seas to the Bavarian Alps in the south. Germany employs a social market economy, open market capitalism that also carries certain social service guarantees. Its economy is one of the world's largest and Germany is one of the globe's leading importers and exporters. Services, which include industries such as telecommunications, healthcare and tourism, contribute the greatest amount to the country's economy. Industry and agriculture are other significant economic sectors. Germany possesses a highly skilled, affluent workforce. Germany is one of the world's most popular migration destinations, though its open-door policy has become a point of contention in the wake of crimes committed within the country's borders recently. Germany belongs to major international organizations, including the United Nations, the European Union, Group of 20, NATO, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Number 3 is Russia. The scale of Russia is difficult to imagine. It is the world's largest country by land mass, nearly twice as big as Canada, the world's second largest nation, and covers all of Northern Asia and much of Eastern Europe. It shares land borders with more than a dozen countries, and shares sea borders with Japan and the United States. Russia as a nation dates back more than a millennium, and authoritarian rule has marked much of its history. It was the largest and leading republic of the Soviet Union, which formed in 1922. Following the Soviet collapse in 1991, Russia became an independent nation. Russians directly elect their president, and the federal government includes legislative and judicial branches, as well as a presidency possessing extensive authority. Russia has one of the world's largest economies that is powered by its extensive natural resources. Top industries include oil and natural gas production, with agriculture, forestry, fishing and manufacturing serving as other economic drivers. Oil and natural gas, in particular, represent large portions of the country's economy. Russia also is one of the world's largest exporters of military weapons, trailing only the United States. Russia is a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, and is a member of major international organizations, including the Group of 20, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, the Council of Europe and the World Trade Organization. Number 2 is China. Home to one of the world's oldest civilizations, China has been ruled by the Communist Party since 1949, when the nation was established as the People's Republic of China. The country is the world's most populous and is considered the second largest by land mass. While nearly 300 languages are recognized across the country, Mandarin Chinese is the official national language. China has been one of the world's fastest-growing major economies since former leader Deng Xiaoping installed reforms in 1978. China's economy is the world's second largest, trailing only the United States. It has been a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council since 1971 and is a member of several international and regional organizations, including the World Trade Organization and the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation. Number 1 is United States of America. The United States of America is a North American nation that is the world's most dominant economic and military power. In November 2020, the country's voters elected Joe Biden as the nation's 46th president, removing Donald Trump after one term. Following the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, the U.S. launched its war on terror, including the Iraq War, the ongoing war in Afghanistan and other military strikes, including the 2011 killing of al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. The war has had wide-reaching effects on the country's politics, economy and global alliances that resonate to this day. The American colonies declared independence from the British Empire in 1776 and were recognized as a new nation in 1783. The country nearly split in two during a civil war in the mid-1800s, but regained its footing in the 20th century, during which time it was on the winning side of both world wars. The U.S. is a constitution-based federal republic composed of 50 states. The U.S. economy is the world's largest in terms of gross domestic product, and also the most technologically powerful. The country's most significant exports are computers and electrical machinery, vehicles, chemical products, food, live animals and military equipment. The U.S. also has the world's largest coal reserves. The country is home to some of the top universities in the world, including Harvard University and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The U.S. often takes a leading role in international organizations, and was a founding force behind institutions such as the United Nations, NATO, and the World Bank. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.